major illnesses require that we disassociate ourselves from our bodies and give our authority over to others, and we'll never truly know unless we understand from the inside out, like, and feel that we're healthy. You know, that's sort of where I'm at when it comes to bone density. But thankfully, again, we have science to intervene and to support what are ancient ways of dealing with bone health. So on my website, which is a project I started, nonprofit, sort of like Wikipedia, to give people the information we're talking about tonight, and their doctors and clinicians. I want the doctors to be able to find this information and use it. And so greenmedinfo.com is basically everything is listed. Like, you have about 20 studies on flaxseed, and it's divided by what ailment it treats and just what flax has been shown to do. And you can click on each specific study and see the research for yourself and make your own decisions. Because what I've found the problem to be is if you go online and do research, half the websites are selling something to you. So there's always that bias. And, you know, our industry does get a real bad rap, partially because there's some real irresponsible vendors of products out there making all kinds of crazy claims. Even recently, Dr. Oz started to tout resveratrol, and I had people come in and say, "Oh, I saw the show and it reverses Alzheimer's." That's what he said. So I'm like, good Lord. Now, nowhere have I ever seen that it reverses Alzheimer's. It certainly reduces oxidative stress and would be beneficial, but he's sold millions of dollars already of his ultra resveratrol. It's about 4 times the price of what Now Foods produces. So a lot of it is just irresponsible marketing. So we have to protect ourselves from that with actual research. So, you know, here was a study in the Journal of Medical Foods, published 2009 in April. And this was on feeding orange pulp to improve bone quality in a rat model of osteoporosis. And they showed that it significantly decreased, it completely reversed the ovarectomy-induced osteoporosis. So I love finding things that are just foods. Pomegranate's a great example. I've mentioned it often in the past because the pomegranate is actually like an ovary, and it contains within it actual estrogens that are bioidentical to what is found in the human ovary. And so they take the ovaries out of the rats, they get osteoporosis, they administer the pomegranate extract, complete reversal. It is a natural form of HRT, and it's something that really has a lot of other side benefits. And that's the unique thing about natural substances, is you get so many side effects on medications that it's almost a bad joke. I mean, when you see these advertisements, I mean, only an idiot would even consider using these drugs. In fact, the main mechanism, well, the main effect is a side effect, and then maybe a rare percentage there's some benefit that occurs, but that's the opposite of what I've found so far with natural substances, is that there are all these side benefits. So pomegranate is amazing, and a 3-year clinical trial in Israel showed it reversed heart disease. That's something that is so heretical to say in this day and age. I may even get trouble for saying it, but it's not me saying it really. It's a study done in Israel, 3-year clinical trial, and they saw up to a 30% reduction in the size of the plaque in the carotid artery of those who received the juice. So yeah, that's one side benefit that's awfully nice. And then on top of it, there's different components in pomegranate that fight different cancers. So you've got a lot of benefits. This is one of my favorite studies I found here. It's a British Journal of Pharmacology, published just March 2009. And they show that genistein, which is the primary phytoestrogen in soy, it basically reversed glucocorticoid-induced osteoporosis. So they gave them prednisone or something like it, and it gave them osteoporosis. And it increased their bone-breaking strength, and they compared it with Fosamax.
What's genistein?
Genistein. It's a classified as a phytoestrogen, and so it's similar to what we were talking about in flax. It actually modulates, or it works on the estrogen receptors in the body.
So it isn't a food that we're going to buy here in Melbourne?
Well, yeah, you'd be able to find it in certain foods. Natto, tempeh, soy sauce. These are really good sources for genistein. Now, there's something called genistin, which is the precursor, which is found in soy milk and tofu, but it takes culturing in order to convert it, and that culturing actually happens in our guts. So like with flaxseed lignin, you have a process in the gut where your body transforms this through bacteria into enterodiol and enterolactone. And those are called mammalian lignans or phytoestrogens. They're produced in between the vegetable or phytosphere and the zooa or animal sphere. It's this in-between metabolome, they sometimes call it. And it's amazing. It's an example of coevolution. We consume so many phytoestrogens on a daily basis, we don't even realize it. If you drink beer, hops is one of the most amazing phytoestrogens on the planet, and it induces programmed cell death in prostate and breast cancer cells. And it's a phytoestrogen. So, you know, again, keep in mind that the reason why we're all afraid of estrogens, and one of the most dominant treatments today for cancers is hormone suppression therapy, like aromatase inhibitors, Arimidex for instance, is because it's part of a marketing ploy. You know, now that they cannot promote HRT, which was a multi-billion-dollar moneymaker to women, now they're claiming, oh, we were wrong. The estrogens are bad, not good, so we need to suppress them. When in fact, that's why a lot of people on the estrogen inhibitors are experiencing osteoporosis, because it does block estrogen in the breast, but of course it's non-selective, so it blocks it in the bone. You end up with osteoporosis, exactly opposite of what they were telling women to take estrogen from the beginning. Protect your bones, right? But then it was cut. So that's the beauty of selective estrogen receptor modulators from nature. And the reason why they're selective is that technically the enterodiol will bind to the estrogen receptor in the breast, but it's so much weaker than estradiol, which we produce ourselves. Now, we produce it from androgens. Women produce androgens, and then in their aromatase enzymes, a lot of it's concentrated in fat cells, converts it into estradiol. Now, that's okay. Estradiol is needed. It is a carcinogen if it's excessive and if it's not broken down correctly, or if there aren't ways of inhibiting it naturally. You have aromatase inhibitors. It turns out one of the best natural ones is actually pomegranate. It actually inhibits the aromatase enzyme so that you can't overexpress the estrogen. So in this study, they compared genistein to Fosamax, which is one of the most dangerous drugs ever introduced into the population. This is a bisphosphonate, which is something that you use to clean soap scum off of your bathtubs if nothing else works. And it will, in some people, burn a hole through your stomach. It will double the risk of atrial fibrillation in women. It will, in some people, cause an irreversible degeneration of your jawbone. And its main mechanism is it poisons your osteoclasts. So it actually is starting to poison and kill the cells in your body that break down bad bone. So, of course, if you kill your osteoclasts, the osteoblasts are going to keep building the good bone up on top, and you're going to get denser bone. And if you don't, or get some really serious side effects before that make you stop taking it. Flu-like symptoms, hair loss, all kinds of serious problems, acid reflux. So if genistein reverses osteoporosis in this model and is superior to Fosamax, then why do we even need to bother with these dangerous chemicals? You know, it's interesting because Merck was behind Fosamax, and they were also behind the DEXA machine, which is overutilized in this country, and according to the proponents of drug therapy, underutilized in, say, the UK, where they're not diagnosing every person with osteopenia because they happen to be 50-something years old. Again, I would rather have osteopenia as a woman, knowing that it doesn't actually mean my bones are weaker or as dense as they should be. If I was younger, my bones would probably be much denser, but I'd rather have that problem than have dramatically increased risk of breast cancer. And on the front page of my website, I have listed all 10 studies showing, and these are based on thousands of people being analyzed, showing increased breast cancer risk associated with higher bone density, and especially for malignant types. So that's an important thing that we need to get out there, and I'm amazed because when I Google this, I don't find anyone talking about it at all. So I don't know why that is. I mean, we know why bone density is the goal, primarily because it sells bone density drugs. But there's also the subtext of calcium consumption and the dairy industry. I mean, you think of osteoporosis and strong bones, and the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, let's drink milk, we need calcium, The cows are grazing on grass all day. It's a joke in the industry.